I always told my husband, I want a place like this, but it's got to be 15 minutes from a good steakhouse.
Yes.
And literally, I live near Nobu.
Oh my God, I
and
love
Soho,
that. That's your local
Malibu.
steakhouse.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Colman Domingo, welcome to One Nightstand.
Oh, it's so good to be here with you.
Good, thank you for being here. We're so excited to talk to you about these books.
Oh yeah, it's. I'm very excited about it. I feel like it's probably one of the most unique collections that anyone's ever seen.
It certainly is. It is because some people have. You can really see there is a common thread in these, but they're all.
There is?
I think so.
Good. I can't wait to hear what you think.
Okay. We'll get into it. But it's such a great pile. But have you always been a big reader?
I have.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was growing up in Philadelphia, my safe haven was the library. Oh. Yeah, it was just a place because I wasn't I was a very nerdy kid and someone who I loved reading and I loved being in a library. The library was peaceful. I was always, doing different projects or listening to the librarian read us, whether it's Encyclopedia Brown novels, which I needed the new one every single time. So I love mysteries. But then also, one of my first jobs was actually in a bookstore.
Oh, cool.
And it made the most sense. It was when I was about 18 years old. I worked for Barnes & Noble bookstore in Philadelphia. And I took care of the self-help section and the travel section.
Ooh.
Again, very different things,
Yeah.
but one is learning how to be a human being,
Yeah.
and the other one is learning how to be in the world, I think. Yeah.
Did you have any favorite self-help books when you were in the self-help book section?
No, I think I was just an awkward kid and person, I thought. And I thought that people were cooler in their 40s. And so whatever the self-help books were was about me feeling confident as a person in the world, language-wise, how to stand in front of people, all that stuff that I was learning by reading books.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I often find as well, we've had quite a lot of guests on here who've brought self-help books, but I think, and so I've read more of them because of this, but I often find that I get more out of looking out at the world at completely different things. I find that more additive in a way. I don't know.
I do too. I think so as well.
It's interesting. Well, maybe we can start with Theatre Kid by Jeffrey Seller,
Sure,
which is one of your 4 books that you've selected. Tell me what you love about this book.
What I love about it is, first, I know Jeffrey Seller.
Yeah.
I've known him as a producer, as one of the most groundbreaking Broadway producers of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Nice, warm guy. I knew him from a distance for a while. And I think I had an idea about who he was based on, I don't know, what he produced or so the air around him and his Adventureland company. And then he comes out with this book and he says, Colman, can I send you my book? I was like, sure. He sends me the book and it stayed on the shelf for a while. And then I put it on my nightstand. And I thought, okay, I need to read a little bit of this every time I turn around. And I quickly discovered that everything that I thought I knew about him, I didn't know. Like how his background coming from Detroit in a very, what do you call it, downwardly mobile family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And really where he got his love for theater as well and telling stories. Like how do you get, for me, just the journey, which is such a great journeyman's journey of how do you come from quote unquote nothing to having such influence in the American theater, I thought it was extraordinary. And by a sense of curiosity, by willing to try and to move out and to challenge yourself and to take everything that you have had and learned and to make it something great. So I love just that story. I think it's just that's a typical American story as well, from rags to riches in a way.
It's a bit of a theme in some of those as well.
I think so, but also I feel like that there's, maybe that's it. Maybe that's part of the theme. That these are sort of stories about people, people and images, how you can redefine yourself. Yeah. So that's what I was attracted to about the book. And I thought, oh, and I love Jeffrey's way of telling stories. I mean, I wanted to know the story of how did Rent come about and the trials and tribulations of that. Yeah. From it being this ambitious bit of a mess to, the unfortunate passing. Yeah. Jonathan Larson on previews, and then to the eventual success by really drilling down and creating something that's everlasting. Yeah.
I think it really captures as well how difficult it is when you're producing or you're working on something, the feedback challenge of he really writes about that so beautifully, where he's like, I want them to know that I believe in this, that I believe it's going to come to fruition, but I also need to tell them that I think the third act sucks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like, it's so hard.
Yeah, exactly. Because also, especially, I love his balance as a producer.
Yeah.
He knows his job. His job is to support the artist, but is also to be there to say, to be a theater goer.
Yeah.
And to really honestly discern and say, it's not working.
Yes.
Or we need to do more work on this. We need to get another writer in on this or something like that. But I feel like, and that's a great creative producer, which is very rare.
Is it interesting?
I think it's actually rare in the American theater to have a great creative producer. You have a lot of producers who, you know, may fund and support, but not someone who's doing great critical thinking as an audience member and as a theater lover.
Yeah.
And just trying to make the piece what the piece should be. Not actually, and I think that's what I've learned in Jeffrey's book as well. It's like, oh no, every piece that he does, whether it's Avenue Q or whether it's Hamilton, he's not trying to make that musical like something else. He's trying to make that musical the best musical that could be based on that idea and those creatives.
Yeah, that's so interesting because it feels like that's the opposite of what goes on in Hollywood a lot of the time, where you can see like there's one hit movie in a genre and then like 2 years later you see 3 iterations of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly, because everything is bottom line a lot of times in Hollywood. They're like, oh, that works. We think the people want that now.
Yes.
And I feel like, you know, the idea of having a creative producer break out and continue to challenge themselves with the work that they're putting out there and feed the appetite for commercial theater is exciting.
Totally.
You know, and say that, oh no, I believe and trust. Think about this, Avenue Q, who would think that would be a huge success?
Totally.
People wouldn't watch, you know, sort of a alt version of Sesame Street.
Literally, adult puppets.
Adult puppets, and believe that audiences want that, and they want to laugh. It's a little satirical, and we could laugh at ourselves. We could laugh at, you know, and have so much joy with it.
Yeah. There's one line that I wrote down. Well, I wrote down a few lines from this book, but one that really stayed with me is when when he's like setting himself up in New York, he talks about how it feels like my outside finally matches my inside, which I think is so beautiful, because I think if you ever grow up in a world that you maybe don't want to be in that world forever, you might have love and respect for your family or whatever. I thought it was just such a beautiful way of capturing that. And I wonder if you ever felt like your inside and your outside didn't match.
Yes, I did. And I think maybe that's why I connected with this book, because I do, you know, I come from, you know, working class Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, now I know I've worked to sort of, how can I say, make the outside feel like my inside.
Yeah.
Whether it's art and beauty and joy and curiosity and language and travel, all that stuff that I was imagining, you know, from sitting in classrooms in West Philadelphia, where I could be, where I used to get in trouble all the time for daydreaming.
Really? Interesting.
Literally, yeah, exactly. I remember my mother went to a student-teacher meeting, and I was with her, and they said, your son's, one of his problems is, sometimes he's hard for him to focus. And my mother said, what is he doing? He says, he's just staring out of the window. And I remember my mother said, why are you staring out of the window? I said, I don't know. She was talking about ancient Egypt, and I started to imagine it.
Yes, totally.
Like I literally, we're talking about the pyramids and ancient Egypt, and I literally would look out the window and start to imagine it. Exactly. So it was like,
yeah, I love like living in my own brain and like imagining things.
I'm starting to try to get back to that right now. I took a moment yesterday to just stand in silence in a sort of crowded space. But it's funny, people kept asking me, do you need anything? Are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm just taking it in.
Exactly.
Because sometimes I'm just trying to get back to that space of just creatively imagining, and you know, what you read, what you distill, what you've taken in, instead of letting it be actionable at all times.
When do you think you started to feel like your outside did match your inside? Is there a particular age?
Probably last week.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like I listen. I think we can make and remake ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a very Buddhist way of thinking. You can make and remake the world, populating it with the images unto itself.
Yeah.
And I think that by distilling a lot of information, I think maybe it's when I got a sense of travel, and seeing other people in the world, probably in my 20s. And then but I really feel like my outside started to match my inside. I would say maybe in my 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I feel like, I'm like, you know, when suddenly you can liberate yourself. You can say, oh, this is my body, this is myself, this is my environment, this is the way I choose to live.
Yeah.
and it all makes sense to you. And then you start living sort of like, out loud in that way.
Totally.
Whatever way that is, I never imagined, I'm 56 years old, and I feel I love my 50s.
Yeah.
I had no idea. No one tells you that.
Interesting.
I'm going to tell our watchers today that it really does get great in your 50s.
Oh, fun.
I think 40s are good, but 50s, I don't know what it is. I'll tell you this. I met this woman who said, for a long time, you're in your storytelling season. You're trying to tell a story about yourself. And when you get into your 50s and 60s, you start moving to a truth-telling season. Ooh. Where you just tell the truth. You no longer have time for stories.
I know exactly what you mean.
Isn't
by
that profound?
Yes, that is deeply profound.
I thought it was profound.
Yes.
And she literally told me this when we were walking a plantation in Georgia. We were like taking in, and we were talking about telling the truth about yourself and whatever that story is.
Yeah.
So now I feel like when I walk in, yes, I use clothing and things like this to tell a story. But now I'm telling a story about the truth of who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's so hard because I think when you're younger, you look to other people who've gone before and be like, oh, I want to be like that. Or, yes. So you co-opt their story in a way. And then actually as you get older, I just get to be completely...
I get to be me.
Me, yeah. It's so interesting.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Talking of Jeffrey Sellers' production, did you see Hamilton early in its run?
I saw Hamilton when it was at the Public Theater.
Yeah.
On the Newman stage. And I sat there shook.
Really? Could you feel the
You felt it. And also because it was also a smaller room, you thought, I haven't experienced anything like this.
Yeah. This
was a surprise for casting, dance, use of language, movement. And you think, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius. And Tommy Kail and all his collaborators. And you thought, they trust me.
Yeah.
That I can distill this historic this history, and then transform it with all these people of color and all this movement and all things that are sort of colloquial and really consume it and digest American history in a new way and feel like I'm a part of the story and that the story really is about all of us. And so I was shook. I remember when the child dies in there and that beautiful song. I remember I literally was shaking. I'll never forget that. And then when I saw it again on Broadway, I was worried. We're always worried when something transfers. You're like, okay, these producers, Jeffrey Seller believes that this can belong on a commercial stage. And you worry, you're like, it's going to lose its intimacy. But I think that's also the creative challenge. How do we continue that momentum and feeling and still make it feel contained? And they did it beautifully.
I was at the Tony Awards last year when they did the 10-year anniversary. The energy in the room when I just never, it felt like I was at I don't know, like a Beyonce concert. It's true. Everyone was just like screaming.
Yeah, it's so true. Everyone was screaming. And also it was like everyone in the show has become like bona fide stars in their own.
Exactly.
But it's true. But also I think that's the most beautiful thing about a lot of beautiful productions where you have everyone in their own right is a leading actor, but they also know that their job in this piece, to help move the needle along. So you're working, that's the thing I love about Broadway. I come from a Broadway tradition, you have triple threats. Yeah. We can do everything.
I love that.
Yeah.
I heard that you might be going to the National Theatre, you said in an interview. Is that...
It's still percolating.
Okay.
I'm still, I haven't been on stage in 13 years, which is wild to me.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to some friends, now, because I've been working for so long, all my friends are now running theaters, which is amazing. They're running theaters and production companies, which is amazing. We were just hard scrabble artists for a long time. Now we're running the National Theater and the Dunmar warehouse and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out the best thing for me because I know that I want to give it my all. So possibly coming back to London. So,
that's very exciting. I miss the London theatre scene a lot now I live here.
I love it, yeah.
It's so cool. And I think also because I didn't grow up going to the theatre, my parents weren't into that kind of thing. And when I first moved to London, I liked that the theatres were the physical theatres were almost mini brands in the way that I didn't need to sort of know too much about it. I just knew I could go to the Royal Court and I'd find something interesting.
Yeah. And there's and I'm going to tell you, there's a couple theaters here that I want you to find too.
Okay.
The Vineyard Theater.
Oh, yeah.
Go see anything at the Vineyard. Go see anything at the Public Theater.
Okay.
Exactly.
Those are two great. Okay,
yes.
Great. Everyone note those down. We're going to all go see them. Well, next maybe we could talk about Hollywood by Garson and Kanin, which is an incredible book. Oh my, I was speechless.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah. I mean,
and it's perfect for like your bedside because you're going to digest all these little essays and stories.
They're like little vignettes.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, you're with these. You're like, wow, I'm with Garson or with all these different people. But I'm going to let you ask your question.
Well, no, I was just going to tell me what you love about this book.
I love the insider's point of view to a Hollywood of bygone years, and I love that they're incisive and like real scenes.
Yes.
Actually, you're like, oh, this happened, or the way this person reacted. I was gifted this book by John Turturro, which is beautiful because I was working on a film for a while about a love story, an unrequited love story about Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr. And he said, I found a great story about Harry Cohn and his relationship with Kim Novak in there. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
I said, send it to me. He sent it to me, and of course I read that, and then I read the entire book, and I was like, what perspective, like truly an insider, and then also for my theater loving friends out there to know that he was married to a dear friend of mine, Marion Seldes.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't know that.
Oh,
I knew Marion at the end of her life. She was in a class by herself. She always word lavender. She was really beautiful and elegant.
Fabulous, yeah.
Yeah, she would read the reviews, under a beautiful spotlight at an opening night on Broadway, and her beautiful, mid-Atlantic sort of standard accent. You were like, I feel like I'm a part of something huge. So anyway, Marion Seldes was married to Garson Kanin before, and it just made all the sense in the world. I love that Hollywood. Anything about Hollywood, a bygone era, I love.
It's simultaneously so charming, and also you're really seeing how the sausage gets made.
Absolutely.
Like, the deals
that are made, the conversations that are made that are searing, that happen now, except we have a bit more publicity and a bit more care about how we talk about things. But this is just raw.
It's so raw. And he's sort of like, Samuel Goldwyn is the sort of character who person who runs through, because a lot of the other, there's like a chapter about Marilyn Monroe and a chapter about Greta Garbo, but then he sort of keeps reappearing. And I wondered, have there been any execs in your career that have sort of like cropped up or been particularly supportive? Or, not that Samuel Goldwyn is always supportive, but...
Any like producers like that? Oh, that's a great question. It's funny. I think that I have a through line of directors like Spike Lee, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful because it feels like, they're still buying what I'm selling.
Yeah.
But also we've become friends. And I have become a bit of an insider when it comes to whether theater and when it comes to film and television. Yeah. So I work with everyone.
Oh, that's great.
And so I feel like in a strange way, I'm sort of a through line throughout this industry.
Yeah.
I feel like you can possibly do, as I know that because I've come from the theater and I'm deeply embedded in television and film, I'm sort of a connector with these worlds and with the fashion world and with the art world as well.
Yeah, with these cultural moments.
So I realize it's probably me.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I'm not just saying with any ego, but I'm like, I think I'm the through line actually.
Yeah.
I'm the one that connects a lot of communities, which is why I'm also really hosting events and things like that where I bring people together.
Totally.
Yeah.
Talking of events, are you going to the Met Gala in a few
I am going to go to the Met Gala.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the Met Gala. I'm going to throw a beautiful Saturday night before Met Gala event because again I like to bring my communities together. Yes. That's actually the intent of it.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a beautiful custom Valentino for the Met Gala. The theme is fashion as art.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I'm really excited about that theme. I think the idea, because the first time I went to the Met Gala, the feeling I felt, and I told Anna Wintour this right after, I said, I feel like you placed me inside of an art installation. I feel like that's how we all felt, that we were living art.
Yeah.
And how beautiful is that?
That's so beautiful.
And I think we need more moments like that are heightened, that remind us about beauty and art and joy, and also philanthropy, because it does support the Costume Institute as well. Yeah. Especially, moments like that in our society. We need large moments like that.
And these are like incredible collaborations, like when you see the like designers and the like sketches, and then how when it starts to fit on the body and how the person who's wearing it shapes the garment. I don't know. I think it's so interesting.
Yeah. And it's months in preparation too.
I bet.
I mean, there's conversations. I get on the phone with Alessandro Michele at Valentino and his team and my stylist. And then we talk to our jewelry, which is, you know, I'm wearing a brand ambassador for Bustle and with Omega as well. So it's a huge collaboration with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that everyone feels that they also have an artistic voice in this moment as well. But you also, you as the artist are the creative director of it all.
Exactly.
But then of course I will send the sketch to Anna Wintour just because I like her perspective.
Do you text her or are you an email?
We're texters.
Oh, I love that you text her. That's so fun. And is she a succinct texter back?
She is.
Yeah.
And she gets back right away.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm always just amazed. Well, we've become very close friends.
Yeah.
I really adore her.
Yeah.
And I think that I always think she's very busy, and of course she's around the world, and she's in meetings and doing all these incredible things, and she's got time to text her friends, which is cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Have you ever like taken a big risk with a designer and worn something that you didn't necessarily feel great in at that moment, but they really believed in it, and you were like, okay, I'm going to be a vehicle? Or
Absolutely not.
No. I love it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, good for you.
Really, I'm very, maybe I've always been this way. I'm quick to say, like, I'm willing to try something on.
Yeah.
And like, let's see what you think.
Yeah.
And then we'll look at it and talk about it. And then I will even like go through the motions of like, oh yeah, well, let's get that figured out and everything. And then we'll have the photograph in the book of things to wear. And eventually I probably wouldn't wear it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's got to be the right moment.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like everything about, it's all storytelling for me.
Yeah.
Especially clothing and design.
Yeah.
It's all telling your story.
Yeah.
And if it's not a story for you, if it's someone else's story, they're like, oh yeah, you would look good in that. I'm like, it's just not my story.
Yeah.
Because, and I won't deliver on it.
No.
I won't feel good.
Yeah.
I won't make the garment look amazing.
Yeah.
You can always tell when I feel my best. Like the other night, we had the premiere of a film that I have out called Michael.
Yes.
And I wore this beautiful, very sort of off the wall inspired Michael Jackson fit of a custom tuxedo. And I felt like dancing. Oh. And literally that was the story. I want to feel like dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's so special. And it's so brilliant to just know, like, when you know who you are, that, you know, incredibly, I think that's brilliant.
Thank you.
One of the themes I found quite interesting in this book is that he talks a lot about the way that art gets made in the sense of the conflict that goes into making art and the sort of like the disagreements. And I wonder, how do you find that as an artist when you're working on a film or a TV show? Like, are you comfortable with that? Is that something you find difficult or you've got more comfortable with?
I'm very comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I think I have a good sense of diplomacy and know how to ask a question.
Yeah.
And know where the question is centered. And it can't be about ego.
Yes.
And I think that's where one gets into trouble.
Yeah.
When you're arguing with someone, not arguing, but like you have a conflict with someone and it's more their ego on the line than the work.
Oh yeah.
That's something I'm not down with.
No.
So I feel like that's what causes friction.
Yes.
But if it's about a good idea, it's okay to take a good idea from anyone.
Exactly.
And I'll always try something. And I will always try something. Let's see if a director says, hey, I thought about this and that and the other. And even if it's like something that like I don't understand, I'm like, let me try it because maybe you see something I don't see it.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, I will also say, well, this is how I feel in this. It didn't feel right, but I'll tell you why.
Yes.
And then hopefully we can get to an agreement of like, oh, well, maybe I should sit over there, or the lighting should be over here, or things like that. And then we'll get to an agreement. But you can't have ego in the room.
No.
And that is a hard thing to say with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, the thing that if I bump up against anything, it's ego.
Yeah.
That if people want something a little bit more than another, or they're doing it because they need this credit or whatever, you're like, no, you got to do it truly for the love of the work. And that's the only way good work gets made.
Tell me about the experience working on Michael and what that was like, because I imagine that's a very specific challenge when you're not just bringing a story to life, but a story that so many people already believe they know in some form or other. It's
so funny because I think Michael is an icon.
Yeah.
And like any icon, you could name the icons, whether it's Elvis, whether it's, I don't know, Anna Wintour.
Yeah.
There are so many stories you can tell about a person in so many ways in. And I really appreciate the lens that we've taken on this film.
Yeah.
This is his early years in the makings of.
Yes.
So you can understand and digest who Michael was. And then you can decide for yourself who Michael was.
Yeah.
And I think, again, and it's celebrating his music and his artistry and what he's given to the world. And so I love that it's a sort of a gentle look at Michael. And it's there. I think there should be 20 movies about Michael Jackson, you know? So I feel like, I think that it lends itself to that. So I'm really happy with what we made. And it was not an easy movie to make.
No, I'm sure.
It was tough. It was tough on all of us because it took maybe a year and a half, which is very long. You know, we had reshoots and pickups and things, because I don't want to use the term wanted to get it right, because I feel like that's not honest. We want this to be right for what we were trying to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And that takes a lot of tooling and revisiting and reworking and just feeling like, okay, great.
Yeah.
This is a version of a part of his story that we wanted to tell.
Yeah.
And that's what the filmmakers wanted to tell. And I was on board as an actor to say, you know what, this is my lens into Joe Jackson, which is such a formidable character in most people's imagination. But when you think about it, they just know sort of like the paint by numbers version of a person.
Yeah.
And my job is to create a human being.
Exactly.
And not sort of this, you know, cartoon villain that people have imagined Joe to be.
Yeah. I read in one of your interviews that you drew on your experience with your stepfather, if that's,
A little bit. You know what? Because when I started to examine Joe Jackson, I thought, oh, he was a man from Arkansas, very rural Arkansas, who didn't have much of an education, moves up to, you know, he migrates up north, eventually builds a family with his wife, Catherine, a very large family.
Yeah.
And he's a blue-collar worker. What blue-collar worker do I know? My stepfather, who had a 7th grade education, who he was a part of a generation, I would say, you know, growing up pre-civil rights, who believed his job as a man was to be the provider and to be the one who, you know, here's the line, you know, you do your chores, you go to school, you do better. His job was to make sure his children had what they needed. Yeah. He wasn't the soft and fuzzy one.
No.
But it's a type of man that truly exists. And I feel like people don't know that man really had to exist in that way, especially a black man at that time. So for me, I looked at my stepfather and I thought, oh, I was raised by a man who was really, when he came home, he changed the whole energy of the house. It was soft and warm and fuzzy and dancing and joyful. He came home and your chores had better been done, your homework better been done. He was the taskmaster. Yeah. Make sure when your father gets home that these things are done. Yeah. So he can sort of just lay down and rest. So he could just sit in peace and quiet. And again, there's so much I know about my stepfather. I know what he probably had on his shoulders as a black man with little to no education in the world. Yeah. And then why he wanted me to be the person that I am. Yeah. So he gave me everything. And at times, I think even when I was growing up, I thought, I don't think he likes me. He didn't like me. He loved me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But also there's a line in a great play by August Wilson called Fences. And people can watch it online. There's a version of James Earl Jones and a version of Denzel Washington having a conversation with their son, Corey. And it's about liking. The son saying, why don't you like me? And he's like, I don't have to like you. The son said, I don't have to like you. My job is to provide for you. That's the kind of man he was. Yes. That my stepfather was, and I think Joe Jackson was. Yeah. That's what I think. I don't know if he was that way, but that's what I've gleaned from the kind of man that he was. And once his children, Joe Jackson's children, wanted to be performing artists, because they wanted to be, and they wanted their dad to work with them. Yeah. And he said, I'm going to work you. You want to be the best? I got you. And then he saw it as a great opportunity for the family. It was a family project for them to move out of their circumstance, to move to something else. And he took them to heights that is unimaginable, from a 2-bedroom house in Gary, Indiana, to megastardom. Yeah. And that many kids and the pressure, I just can't imagine. Exactly. Like, it's a lot. The book does such a sort of great job at showing the sort of arc of these sort of artists and movie stars' careers, really, and how like you go through these sort of peaks and troughs. And I guess it sort of made me think, especially with you having been on Euphoria for 3 seasons, all the people who are in it now are all such like everyone is such huge stars. Mega stars now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How has that like evolution been from like season 1 through to season 3? First of all, it's been really lovely. Yeah. It's like, I think I kind of I didn't know that it would smash the zeitgeist like it has. Yeah. Truly. Sam Levinson is one of the greatest showrunner, creator, directors I think that we have. He's so inventive and collaborative, and he really has given us material that I think that we would rarely get.
Yeah.
Whether as the young artists, they were getting the best material of their lives. Look at Zendaya's work in season 1 and season 2, and Sydney Sweeney's and Jacob Elordi's, Austin Abrams, you name it.
Yeah.
And then Sam Levinson wrote this role for me. He wrote a role for me that many people, he knew what I could do.
Yeah.
And he knew that I could deliver, but I hadn't been getting work like that for a long time. I was getting sort of, just my regular tried and true television work, but nothing super challenging like what Sam has written for me. So I had great faith and hope that the universe would be kind.
Yes.
And it has. And now season 3 is just as epic as the other seasons. I think it's just an extraordinary season. I think, and it's a season, I'll be very honest, because I've seen a lot of the season, it's a season that is, the first few episodes are a huge setup for what will happen towards the end. So I feel like it's a show that has to be digested in its whole. I almost wish it came out all at once.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's hard to digest where is it going, because each episode is its own film. It really is. They're isolated films, but it will all make sense when you get to the end.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. It's a good tease, isn't it?
It is such a good tease. But I just feel like all of you in it are like the types of actors who are going to be written about in like these types of memoirs in like 30 years time, where there's some like,
I kind of feel that way too. Maybe that's why I'm attracted to it as well, because you're almost looking at how do people navigate this industry.
Exactly.
How do they navigate the public life and their private life?
Yes.
And I think that's the thing that I'm most fascinated with that book.
Yeah.
Because it's an insider's glance into all of that, and how people, they're trying to protect something in their privacy. And you look at that now, every one of us, I'm a bit more seasoned in my years and experience, so I know how to distill it and put up boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think some of our younger cast probably have struggled from time to time, and they're working through it.
Yeah.
And because a lot of it's new. Yet we do have some that have been child stars, and they've learned to navigate this industry, which is tricky.
Yeah.
Because the world wants a lot of you, and the more successful you are, I think is also an opportunity to try to tear you down.
Oh, for sure.
It's a strange thing in our culture where the thing that people love, they also, when they love it too much, they also want to tear it down.
Oh, for sure.
It's a very strange thing in our culture. Yeah.
That even happens for shows and movies that, like, a season can be beloved. Like, I'm so excited for season 2 of Heated Rivalry, but I also feel like people are going to be critical of it just because they love the first one so much.
Absolutely, because they won't be able to. Let's say a Heated Rivalry suddenly takes place in, I don't know, it's not in Canada. It's suddenly in, Florida. I don't know if, I feel like people have a set idea of what they want.
Yes.
And then they get mad at you when you don't deliver that again. You're like, no, but I thought I wanted to challenge you again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that book, and I just thought it's so juicy. Like, even the scene where he goes to the brothel towards the...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it's just like, it's so...
But it's so honest.
Yes,
and maybe,
it's so
and maybe
honest. That's another
That's
theme.
the through line.
That's the through line, yeah. Yeah.
You just knocked me out on why I read what I read.
That brutal honesty,
I'm looking for brutal honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And that probably leads us to...
the one on top. Yeah, let's do it.
Because we were talking about that the moment we walked in,
So Pimp by Iceberg Slim, an incredible memoir, which is brutally honest as but tell me what you love about this book.
I first stumbled upon that book when I was doing research for a film that I did called Zola.
Zola, yeah.
Where I played X.
I love that film.
Who was a dastardly pimp.
Dastardly, such a good word, yeah.
I'm bringing it back.
Yeah.
It was a dastardly pimp. And I did so much research on the psychology of pimp, of human trafficking, all of that, because I'm like, I want to go into the psychology, and I think I was drawn to it because I'm like, it's so not me.
Yeah.
It's so like, I'm such a feminist. I'm such a humanist. I'm like, oh no. The idea of that is awful to me. But I was like, I want to get into their psychology.
Yeah.
And this had me shook. And I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this is people's operating systems when they have nothing. But they believe that they can co-opt the mind of someone. And they tell you the psychology of what they think, whether you're beautiful, whether you're not beautiful, whether you're a little chubby or whatever, like knowing how the psychology operates. They're psychologists.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Totally.
And what I loved about this book, and which when I don't know why it was on my mind the moment we walked in, because I revisited it a little bit the other day, and I thought, oh, that's what I like, how succinct he is. Mm-hmm. I think writers who've gone through programs can't write like this. Mm-hmm. Because this is a lived experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can just say, he can say everything he needs to say in 3 words. And it takes you aback because it's so raw and unflinching. And you're like, I can't believe he just said that.
Yeah.
Or he just, the use of, the use of the word bitch or whores or things like that is just, the way he uses them are so flippant. And they're almost not even like, sometimes they're, I don't know, I just think it's fascinating, his code of speech.
Yes.
And contextualizing situations, whether it's with family or whether it's with how he's learned from older pimps and things like that, how to be in the world.
Totally.
And how to take care of himself.
Yeah. And it's so sort of like original and singular. And there were a few moments that I just, when I was looking through which bits I'd highlighted after reading it, there was some bits
what did you highlight? Because I'm like, there's so much.
There's so much. Well, it was just these moments where every now and then I would almost burst out laughing. Like, I think he talked about this one moment where he's sort of like, I think sort of maybe his first girl that he brings into his stable, and she's like kind of showing off for him.
Oh, because she's really pretty?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, this is really theatre in the round. About her, like, yes. And I was like, God, that is such a good line.
He's got great lines.
Yeah, like you can study for years and never be able to do it.
No, and you also feel bad for laughing.
Oh, exactly.
You're like, these are horrible situations.
These are horrible.
You're like, and then you start to think, he's making it's how can I say it? It's an American story, and sort of he wants the American dream.
Yeah.
But he knows he can do it. He can go to a new town and hustle and make money quickly.
Yeah.
He can steal someone's another worker's woman.
Yeah.
And turn her out and make some money. Mm-hmm. And he can build off of nothing. He can walk into any town and build and figure out the psychology of what a person wants. Yeah. He really was the Don Draper from Mad Men of,
Yes.
Right.
Well, and it really is driven by capitalism in the same way, though, because I mean, one of the lines I wrote down is like when he says, I'm still black in the white man's world. My hope to be important, admired, can be realized even behind this black stockade. And I was like, he really is just,
He wants what everyone else
exactly
has.
And
he knows his way to get it.
Yes.
And it's in the most guttural way, but he also knows the agency of bodies.
Yes. One of the incredible things about your performance, I thought, as X in Zola, and that you really see in this book, is how emotionally sort of unpredictable these characters are, in the sense that, when you think he's going to be tender, he'll be violent. And when you think he's going to be violent, he's tender. And as a result, these women are sort of like constantly like on tenterhooks, and then feel so grateful when the tenderness. It's all
psychology.
Yes.
And that's literally what I learned from this book.
Yeah.
When I had a moment with Riley Keough, who plays Stephanie in the movie. And I remember she was making me some money that night. And then I go to her and I look at her and she looks at me and very adoringly, almost in a way, a look of love. And I looked at her and I made a point. I knew she wanted me to kiss her on the lips. And I made a point to kiss her on the head because that's control.
Yes.
That's what I learned in this book. It's like you don't give them what they want. You let them long for it.
Yeah.
And you string them along because it's all control.
Yeah.
And that's literally what he did. Because it was like, oh no, I can't. We can't make it about love.
No.
I can make you think it's about love.
Yeah.
But it's about commerce.
It's about commerce. It's exactly about commerce and turning you into the most effective sort of like resource or employee for me.
It's so tricky.
Yeah.
And horrible.
Yeah, horrible.
I think, yeah.
It is. I often binge read things, but I couldn't binge read that. I would like do a chapter and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to have to put that down.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's so raw. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you ever try to adapt a book like that?
I thought about it for a while.
Yeah.
I thought about that story. I thought about the idea of like, have we seen, because I think my goal as an actor always is to, someone that I'm curious about, that I don't know how they live in me, I thought, how can I also make sure that they're as complex as possible and human, that I see the things that are in the corners and the recesses of their mind and make that a complete person, their vulnerabilities as well. And I thought that's a great subject matter for that. And it would be a great challenge. Because for me, it's like, how do I take someone that I think objectively the world sees as like, oh, that's, low-hanging fruit. And then say, oh, but that's human.
Yeah.
And I can see myself in that person.
Yes.
So I think that there could be a story there for me to adapt. It could be.
Totally. And I think his relationship with his mother is so interesting as well.
Yes, and when she's on death row, about to die, he's suddenly longing.
Exactly.
And you say, oh, he's just a little boy.
Yeah. And I loved also in the childhood where when she's with that one, his stepfather, who's a kind but sort of like a bit of a hapless figure.
And an affectionate person.
And you sort of like, but you see this like fork in the road where you can almost imagine his whole life being different if she hadn't left him, or it's
absolutely the choices.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then your relationships to women.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You see all that set up.
Yeah.
He tells you very clearly.
Yeah. It's really striking, and it's I was sort of fascinated by even the story of how this book was published and how it became a bestseller almost like underground, like because it was sort of published and they weren't really publicizing it in any big way.
But then it caught on.
Yeah.
Because it really is a searing look into a psychology that we try not to think about.
Did someone recommend it to you when you were preparing for Zola, or did you just find it through research?
I just found it through research.
Oh, wow,
and
amazing.
I thought, really, I ordered it on Amazon, and I started reading it in my office, and I was like, oh my God, because I was just doing lots of research to figure out this character that I was building. And this was a great, important part of the building of X and Zola.
I love that. It made me think of SNL because you played a pimp in a recent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, playing Delicious.
I don't
It was so fun with the red bar. Go on.
I love that moment there because I feel like the idea of finding, how can I say, people who are a bit more on the outside of society, I like the idea of placing them somewhere that you would never expect them. Yes. And seeing what's that conflict, what's that comedy. And so when they wrote that sketch, I'm like, that's perfect. And that's why I was like, oh no, he's absolutely wearing his pimp wear from like whatever, I'm like, maybe he flew in from Cleveland or something. And he's just like, he's an old school pimp, still with the flat ironed hair, gold grill. Everything about him is like status in his kingdom. But he's now out of it. And he's just at a very... suburban funeral. I think that there's extraordinary comedy in that.
It was so good.
Thank you.
It was so good. What was that SNL experience like?
That was like being shot out of a confetti cannon.
Really?
In a week. Monday, there's no sketches.
Yeah.
Tuesday, there's just some ideas. Wednesday, they're written. Thursday, you do table reads and then go into production mode. By Saturday night, you're live on television. Whoa. It's nothing you've ever experienced before.
Yeah.
But it's exhilarating and joyful. And I got to say this because I'm still reeling from it. I got the most beautiful compliments from Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, and Dave Chappelle. The Mount Rushmore of comedians in SNL. They all sing my praises on it, and I feel like I'm still floating over it. So for me, I'm like, to get, because it was territory that I'm not in often. I did some sketch comedy back in the day with Kate McKinnon on the Big A Sketch Show, but this is something else.
Yeah.
And also, I studied because that's all I do. I study. I read lots, I watch a lot of video of people who've done SNL before. And I try to think, well, what is my SNL?
Yeah.
It's all research and study. So I knew that even before, I'm sure I don't know how many hours I put into it. I probably put in 80 hours of I looked at least 70 opening monologues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, well, what is my opening monologue?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? What does that look like? And then knowing that I have an opinion on the sketches, what does the landscape of that look like? So I look at all of it.
What were some of your favorite opening monologues that you saw when you were researching?
One of my favorite opening monologues, well, they were the comedians. One was Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And one was, I actually loved a recent Ryan Gosling one.
Oh,
it was great. Sabrina Carpenter's, Harry's. It was
so good.
There's some good ones. So I looked at some clips back in the day with like Gilda Radner and people like that, Phil Hartman. I think, exactly. I looked at the old cast. Yeah.
So did they all text you, like Eddie Murphy and those people after? Or
no, I saw Eddie Murphy at his Lifetime Achievement Award at the AFI, and it was filled with, the greatest comedians.
Yeah.
And they each came up to me separately, and I was like, I could still cry about it. Because it's you know, you want to do good by them.
Yeah.
You know, they've set the bar.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure that I didn't break anything on SNL, but I sort of gave something to it.
Oh, you did so brilliantly. I mean, it was so entertaining. And was that the sketch with the grandfather's wake? Was that one that came up early in the table reads and was like always locked in? Do you think
that was locked in pretty early on?
Yeah. You were like sold.
Yeah, that was sold. The one that was really locked in was the fashion.
Oh my God,
district
so good.
Robbery. Yeah. That was locked in immediately. I don't know why. Immediately, I'm like, oh, I think this one's going to be fun. Yeah. This is going to be a banger. Like the idea, it's very simple.
Yes.
That's what I love about sketch. It's very simple in its conceit.
Yeah.
And it's just like putting someone from, you know, in a very opposite lane with a situation that's really wild and putting it together.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, this guy just has no time for this.
No. It was so funny. And my favourite was the girl at the back when you were like, go back to Connecticut. It just really tickled me because we all know that exact type. Like,
yes,
oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, it was so good.
Thank you.
Your final book is very different to the other three. It's a sort of, so it's the Hinterland. Tell me what you love about this.
I love this book. It's one of my favorite books that I have on my bedside because it's a bit of fantasy and whimsy, and it's something that I think we all need as an escape.
Yes.
It's a relationship to nature, and it's about having sort of stripping things down and having something that's simple, yet very luxurious and beautiful as well, because this is just, I mean, who wouldn't want to have this?
I know.
And the funny thing is, I believe that what you envision you can make come true. And I think I've needed a space like this. And I started to realize I needed a space like this. I bought this book about 10 years ago.
Yes.
And now, where I live, if anyone knows where I live, and our readers don't know, I mean, people, they don't know where I live, but I live in a similar place that's sort of like this. In a way.
Yeah.
I live in Malibu, in the canyon, and I have a view in the distance of the ocean. I listen to roosters crowing in the morning. I am surrounded by the Santa Monica Mountains, and it's a bit of paradise.
Yeah.
And I always thought, because of the work that I do, because I always travel, I'm always around a lot of people, I need a place to restore.
Yes. Yeah.
And for me to restore is in nature. I always thought like I would only find a place like this in the fjords or something like that. I thought, oh, why? It's going to have to be somewhere not in America. But that's not the truth. I found it. And also, what I've done, because I own a few acres of land, I built 2 cabins.
Ooh.
So I not only have a main house, but I built 2 cabins. And I had some friends over early, and they're like, why are you building these cabins? I was like, because I want them.
Yeah.
I want a space that's really just 4 walls and a view. There's nothing else. And I literally went down there last Sunday. I just went down to the cabin, and I opened the doors, and I sat there quietly. I didn't have music on or anything, but I watched, actually it was an eagle flying above, and watched the birds, and I listened to sounds. And I really feel like it helps get me connected again to the earth before I'm back out there in the world doing all these other things. So I've sort of built my own, the Hinterland, cabins, love shack, and other hideouts. I think that we all need a little bit of this.
We do.
Yeah.
When you spent 16 years living in New York, did you like did you like to go upstate? Did you
No,
just
I
kind
couldn't
of love
afford
that?
it.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what? I couldn't afford it. I now work upstate, which is funny because my show, The Four Seasons, films in upstate New York.
Yeah.
So I go to Beacon, New York, and think that all the time. I'm like, wow, this is what's up here?
Yeah.
I heard people lived upstate, but I didn't know what that was because I was just, a hard scrabble, working actor in the city. But if I lived here now, I definitely would have a place upstate.
Yeah.
Because it's something about living, unplugging. And I like the idea in the distance, too. It's only about an hour and a half away from the city. I like to still be plugged into the city. Like I live in Malibu, but literally, I always told my husband, wherever, if I want a place like this, but it's got to be 15 minutes from a good steakhouse.
Yes.
And literally, I live near Nobu.
Oh my God, I love
Soho,
that. That's your local
Malibu.
steakhouse.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's my local steak and sushi house.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so lovely. And is your husband sort of similarly into the kind of seclusion as well?
He very much is. He is actually, when I tell you, I think he's happier than I am there.
Oh.
Because he is very much a very mild-mannered. He's a television and film producer. and he's also very quiet. He has we built a paint studio on our property, but it's sort of like a tree house.
Yeah.
No, not a tree house. It's glass. So it's and it's a bit of a sanctuary. So we have our spaces where we just unplug. He loves living in peace and quiet. Yeah.
I read in your AD, I think it was an AD story about one of your properties that a lot of the books on your shelves were in Russian.
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and so
we have a Russian library.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And have you got into Russian literature at all?
I haven't, but he has so much Russian literature, and it's funny. I don't even question what he's reading because he's got a stack of books on his bedside. But it's almost like his private time. We don't talk about what he's reading unless it's like a fairy tale. Yeah. Unless it's like a Russian fairy tale, because he knows I love them and they're dark and they're weird and and he's always like, hey, you should adapt this. I think this could be an interesting story because we love fairy tales. Yeah. Because it's like going to the darkness to find the light again. Yeah. So I think we have an exceptional library because he's from former Soviet Union. So I think it's a way to connect him constantly to his language and to his stories.
Yeah. That's so lovely. We had Daniel Radcliffe on and he recommended The Master and Margarita, and I don't read much Russian fiction, but when I do, I'm like, God, it's just so weird. Like it's not weird obviously that's unfair, but as in it's so not how it's not like other stuff I read in a wonderful way. Yeah. Like it's so transformative.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even like I remember we read a version of Winnie the Pooh together. He said, he's like, we should read, because sometimes we would read together, and he's like, I want to read you my version of Winnie the Pooh. I was like, what? There's another version? He was like, yeah, the Russian version. It's so dark.
No, really? What happens in the Russian version?
I don't know, but it just seemed darker. It just feel like, Russian in the Russian language is like more straightforward. It's not softer.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it just felt darker. And then he even showed me the cartoon version of it. And Winnie the Pooh is called Winnie Pooh. And Winnie Pooh actually has like this, he kind of talks like this. He's like he's been smoking like a pack of Newports. And I'm like, oh my God, Winnie the Pooh. I feel like he's wearing, I don't think he's pantsless either. I think he's got like pants on. Because they're not about that life. They're Winnie the Pooh, like, wears undergarments.
He's properly attired.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. I'm obsessed.
Winnie Pooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it amazing how this, like, it sort of exists? It's so good. Is it fun collaborating together when you're working on, like, when you think about things to adapt together or anything?
Oh, it is. It is. He's great because he comes from the fashion world, and he was much more of a designer and editorials as well. And so he's got a real good discerning taste. Yeah. He's got a great taste, and we know how to really distill from reading books and know where the story is. Because the thing about like even adapting books, you got to find your way in and your point of view. You just can't take the book and we'll just do that.
No.
And then you have to really think about, what's the story here? What can, maybe it's not the whole story. Maybe it's a bit of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That comes up over and over again in Hollywood as well, that sort of idea. Yeah. A few other small things before we end. Is it you played the violin?
I did.
I played the violin as well.
You did?
Do you ever play it anymore?
I don't.
No, me neither.
Me either.
It's so crazy, isn't it?
It's so crazy.
This thing for so much when you're young and then just never do it again.
It's so wild. And I loved it. When I tell you, I loved the violin. Yeah. And I feel like if I picked it up now, I'd be so confused by it. Yeah. But I loved that. I loved the taste of the reed. Yeah. I love the, the playing, the fingering of it and just all of it. Even the sounds when it was like an off sound and you had to tune it. I loved all of it.
It's actually kind of, my sister still has all our instruments at home, and it is kind of amazing the muscle memory you have with it. I think you'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, and I think especially now when I listen to orchestral music and I can hear the part that I would, because I played a lot of orchestra when I was younger, I played the part that I can still hear it separately almost as a string, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's incredible.
Yeah. But isn't it beautiful? I feel like, my listening skills are really great when it comes to plucking out instruments in an orchestra.
Because you get used to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You sort of have to.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much. This was such a wonderful conversation, and thank you for all of your brilliant books.
Thank you. I love talking to you today.
Thank you.
This was really a highlight.
Thank you.